Hi, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining us. This is Michelle and Crit having our weekly conversation. Today, we're going to talk about wins. If you have been following along our journey, you probably saw that we did an Instagram live about wins. I got a lot of really great feedback. People really liked the conversation, so I thought it might be more worthwhile to go deeper into this IGTV mini series. And I hope you get a lot out of it.
Awesome.
So, that being said, let's get into it. First of all, let's start with what are wins?
Yes. Yeah. Let's start there. First off, wins are one of the four pillars that are part of the Eliminate Your Limits system that I teach. So it's one of four pillars, but it is the greatest and most beneficial place to start because wins are simply those things in our day that, made us feel good, was good for us, was good for other people, things that just made you smile. But wins can also be those things in your day where you look back and you learned something. So it really allows you to change how you're looking back on your day and also how you're looking at learning opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm. And
So yeah, go ahead.
Michelle, how do people start on this like win concept and journey?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think some people are going to have an easier time than others. So I should let people know that because I know some people who tend to be really hard on themselves and they have really high expectations. And so they have a hard time finding their wins. Like some people, they look at, well, I'm not going to call going to the gym or working out, not going to the gym right now, but, working out or going for a walk a win because it's something that I should be doing anyway. But the way that I told this person, it's actually a really strong win because we all have the option to not go to the gym or not get the workout in or not drink the glass of water. So every time we're telling ourselves that was a good job, that was good for me, we're really sending a signal to our unconscious mind saying, yes, do more of that. That served me. This is why, I'm important. This is why, I like me. This is why I care about me. So it really creates a dialogue internally that basically crowds out and pushes away the negative self-talk of I didn't do enough, that wasn't good enough, look at everything you didn't get done. And it quiets the voice, that internal voice of criticism at the end of our day.
That is so on point because I had recently been talking to someone and I was telling them about wins, and they gave me the exact same feedback where they were like, oh, I always start and then I'm like, I didn't do any three nice things today. And I'm like, that's not true. You did them. You're just setting the bar so high. And I did that too. When I first started this with you, I was just like, oh, I didn't do anything. Like there's nothing to celebrate. And it's so easy for us to just focus on the things we didn't do versus the things that we did do, that the wins journey helps us rewrite that conversation and acknowledge all the small moments in our day where we did do stuff. Like you drank enough water. That is a win. You took a moment of gratitude today. Like you paused and you took a moment of gratitude, or you just decided to go get a snack. And instead of grabbing the candy bar, you grabbed a banana. That's a win. Count it as a win because to your point, the more you acknowledge it, the more subconsciously you're going to remember how great it felt when you made the great decision, the right decision for yourself, your health, and your well-being.
Yeah, 100%. And those were great examples. Some people are going through things really hard or heavy, and sometimes just getting out of bed and taking a shower is a win for them. So, you've got people on all ends of the spectrum. But, one of the cool things about wins is it allows you to create an emotional connection. And that's really important. Instead of just going through and kind of checking things off a list, I like to spend a moment really kind of giving myself that moment of thanks where I did something good for me and I kind of revisit it in my mind too, almost like I'm playing a movie. So I'll kind of just think about my day. I'll start at the beginning of my day and kind of go through my day, thinking about my calendar. Who did I talk to? What did I do? And ultimately, what this also does is it helps you live more consciously. You end up being more present in your day because you're training your mind to start looking for the good. And because you've gone back in your day and were able to revisit things, you're going to actually see things that maybe you didn't even see before, that you didn't even acknowledge. I do that all the time where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was so awesome. That was so good. And what do you feel? You feel good. And the more that we feel good, the more that we're going to continue to do things that are good for us, right? It's just like where attention goes, energy flows. So, so important.
Absolutely. And this is why it's so important, I think, for me, and I think you would advise this too, is to do it almost before you end your day and turn in for the night, because then it's like, what did I do today? It's also an acknowledgement of recounting your entire day and how you spent the past 12 hours. What are the things you focused on? Because what I realized was when I first started the wins, I would actually have a really hard time remembering what I did that day, because it becomes unconscious. You just keep going from one activity to the next activity and you forget about it. So it's also training your brain to just focus in on what did you achieve, and it helps time kind of slow down. And I think that's really, really important, because we often, before this quarantine, it always felt like time was flying by, and I would often be like, what did I do today? Like, this whole week went by, what did I do? And starting writing my wins, it was this acknowledgement of, oh, I did so much.
Yeah.
And I think that's also really, really important.
Yeah. I think one of the other things I really love about wins too is it changes the conversation in the household at night too. Because if I'm doing my wins at night, chances are I'm probably going to talk about those wins now with, my boyfriend, or, for those with families, you're going to want to actually know what other people's wins were, because now you're thinking about it. And most people, unfortunately, at the end of the day, they talk about their failures, they talk about their challenges or frustrations rather, and they talk about what didn't go right, and all the negative stuff going on in the news. So like you said, it's like we do these things at night because our mind is actually going to go to sleep at night. Well, actually we go to sleep, but our mind continues to work. Our brain starts to go through our day and starts to create memories. So we want to actually bring back to the top of mind all the good things that happened in our day, things that we learned of, because now we can even look for opportunities to be better the next day. And now we've created, just a whole new outlook.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so this is kind of like, and it just occurred to me, is when I was in college and I would have an exam the next day, I made a point of studying and just rereading my study guide like an hour before going to bed. And then I would so vividly have these memories of my dreams of my study guide. And I would go take my exam and I'm like, oh, I remember I wrote this in my study guide. And it was like training my subconscious mind. So it's kind of the same practice, which is you're training your subconscious to focus on the positive, focus on all the great things that you're achieving, focus on the little building blocks that the steps you're taking to getting to your ultimate bigger goal. So that's kind of the importance of wins.
Yes, 100%. And I love that you brought in the goals, because yes, when we're now starting to look at wins specifically around goals in fitness or goals with, career or finance or relationships, now we can really get things going. We can create that momentum, because now we start to look at, oh, I actually am starting to move towards my goal, as opposed to I'm not getting there fast enough. This isn't working. I don't feel good. But now we can go, no, things are working. And things are happening.
Yeah, so it kind of like goes against the instinct of needing instant gratification, because it kind of satisfies that to an extent, because it says, no, you are making progress. Like, your subconscious mind tends to go, oh, you know what, you worked out 3 days in a row and you're not fit. You don't have abs yet. You should just give up.
Right.
Whereas you're training yourself and you're saying, that's ridiculous way of thinking. You're making the right progress. You're seeing the little improvements, and that's really what's going to count towards that goal ultimately that you want to make.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is that powerful. And, for people that tend to have a negative mindset, this can be so powerful in building your connection with you, because now instead of you thinking you're a failure or thinking that you're never going to get there. You start to believe in you. You actually start to create, this is how you create confidence,
Mhm.
right? Because now we start seeing, oh no, once I actually took some steps and I actually did something right. So many things to be benefited from just doing this simple exercise in the evening.
So, how do you approach it more so in a tactical way? Like, how do you write it in your journal?
Yep.
What's your approach to it?
Well, I always know my goals because I do my direction review in the morning. So those things are now like, because I've written down my goals day after day after day, they're unconsciously in the back of my mind. So in the evening time, I mean, if I'm looking at, I'll usually like to pick three things, maybe from fitness, three things from career, and three things from a relationship. So I'll purposely like kind of create sections for my wins in my journal where I'm like, okay, let's just pick three things from each.
Mhm.
And now I'm it's like they can be different every day. Sometimes they can be the same, right? Because repetition really is the mother of skill. So if I'm trying to train myself to drink more water and hydrate, then if I'm hitting my water goal every day, then you better believe that's going on my wins. Hit my water goal, yay me. And however you want to word that. But so that would be an example of how you're kind of just showing yourself that you are creating movement in those goals.
So, when you're writing your wins, would you say it's also really important to mind your language and the way you're writing it, where you really do want to celebrate? And maybe that's not the area in your journal where you want to be like, oh, I hit my water goal, but
Oh
these
gosh.
are the things that I could be doing to improve it.
Yeah.
Instead, it's more like, I drank enough water today.
Oh, that is huge because most people aren't conditioned to talk about themselves in a really positive way. So this is the time to watch your language and make sure that you are, like you said, celebrating yourself and making sure there are no buts, there are no, just always acknowledging what did you do right? What did you do right? There's never any not good enough. This is the time for positive language. And you might have to, some people have to kind of maybe think about that a little bit. So, by the same token, I can count a lot of wins now, but if you're brand new, you probably want to maybe start with three.
Mhm.
Just keep it super simple. And as you get better, you will get better. So it is a practice. Mindset is a practice. Counting wins, all of this is a practice.
Yeah, it's like you're writing in your journal, nobody's gonna read it. You don't have to be humble. You don't have to be worried about coming off conceited. Nobody's gonna read your journal. This is just for you. So go ahead, give yourself that ego boost, acknowledge everything you're doing, and celebrate yourself. So I totally agree with everything you're saying.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
I when I first started my wins, I definitely had to catch myself because I was being too humble. And I was like so worried about just sounding like, oh, am I being conceited? And then I had to tell myself, wait, no, nobody's gonna read this. It's just for me.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, on that note, Michelle, thank you so much for joining. And this was an overview on how to start writing your wins, why you should start writing your wins, and we're going to follow up on providing you a little bit more information on the Suthi blog. And I'll send you a link to Michelle's website where you can get a lot more information about wins and this whole practice. I hope you guys got a lot out of this, and thanks again for tuning in.